Welcome to the Scottish Property Podcast. This is a show where we aim to educate, inspire and entertain through real life stories and interviews from people in the Scottish property community.
As always, thanks for listening and give us a follow on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Remember to join us at our monthly networking events on the first Wednesday of every month. Tickets are available on our website. So without further ado, we'll just cut straight into this week's podcast. Jerry Alexander, welcome back to the Scottish Property Podcast. Is this the fourth time?
It could be, Nick. It could be, yeah. I'm really looking forward to this.
Great to see you. Thanks for bringing the Lidl's croissants as well. Very well received.
You have to get that in there, eh?
Other brands are fine.
Listen, this is great to have you back, right? Because obviously we've spoken a lot about your backstory, what you do in your own commercial investing. We've talked about strategies in the past, all the different types of commercial strategies. I think today, what I really wanted to focus on is the CMO strategy. Just to describe, what does CMO strategy mean, and
why do you want to focus on that today, Nick? Come on, let's get out there. I'm trying to make
this a free course for myself here, because Jerry, of course, is a fantastic educator in the commercial space, right?
Butter it up, yeah. Go
in
for
fact, as you're sitting here just now, I think we should type out the invoice for you for the amount of plugs we've given you over the years.
There must be some amount of commission coming back from that.
The amount of times we've mentioned
That's
Jerry's.
That's why we've got the Lidl's croissants.
Exactly. The amount of times we've
mentioned
mentioned your name, and there's a reason why we mention it, because you do provide good value through your podcast, obviously. You've talked at our events and you know your shit. So let's dive into it. What is the CMO strategy?
Okay, so CMO stands for Commercial Multiple Occupancy. I started doing this kind of strategy 20 years ago. So actually November 2004 was the first time we bought a building to do this strategy, but I didn't invent it. It's been going for probably thousands of years. The Romans had forums with loads of different shops, right? It's not a new thing. It's just given it a name that people can relate to in the property world, HMO being obviously the residential equivalent, but effectively is under one roof, multiple commercial clients. Could be tenants, it could be clients, depends on contract, that are all sharing communal areas, communal toilets and facilities. And it allows you, if you think about the gym model, it allows you collectively to afford a better setup, a better premises, better facilities, because you're all sharing those different areas. Whereas in the traditional commercial market, most people go with FRI leases, full repair insuring leases on single let units, and they tend to have their own set of toilets, their own corridors, their own reception. So if you think about it, if you've got 10, 20 businesses that all are sharing those things, it reduces the overall costs. And that's where you can make a bit of margin.
So what's the biggest benefit from an investor going for a CMO model versus a FRR lease?
So for me, that came home when we bought an industrial unit a few years ago. It had a single tenant in it. They'd been in it for 3 years. And in the 5th year was their potential break, and they exercised that break. And the building was bringing in £2,500 a month, £30,000 a year. That was the income. No expenditure. FRI lease. Fantastic. But then they handed in the notice. So after going through dilapidations and various other bits and pieces, they left. And we went from earning £2,500 a month to being in the hole, because you've got insurance, you've got water, these things don't stop, right? You've got business rates. So what we did with that unit is we split it into 10 little units. And when one person leaves now, doesn't really make any difference. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest change.
That's quite powerful, isn't it? Because I'm assuming with a FRI lease, you're just completely at the mercy of that one tenant. So it's almost like having one property in your portfolio. When that tenant doesn't pay or that tenant leaves, you've now got a liability rather than an asset.
You need scale. And you know, part of it is trying to... So CMO is a great strategy. It's a great cash flowing strategy, but you do have to work out where you are in your own property cycle and what you're trying to do, because it is a fairly narrow focus, mm-hmm. right? So there's nothing wrong with FRI. I mean, we've got some buildings that have got IRI, internal repairing insurance.
We're talking a lot of jargon here, guys.
Yeah.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the terms.
Yeah, so sorry, Nick. Yeah, so IRI is basically an internal repairing and insuring lease, which basically means that the tenant is responsible for everything within the building, within the walls and the paint or whatever. And FRI means they're actually full repairing, insuring, it's everything. The roof, the car part, the lot, they're responsible for. And not only that, when they hand it back to the landlord, they have to hand it back in the same condition. Usually that's in the contract, not always. And that then leads on to dilapidations, which means the tenant actually has to pay or have someone bring the building back up to spec.
How they found it.
How they found it, yeah. And sometimes not even how they found it, sometimes how it's written in the contract. Right. So they might actually have to do more than it already was given to them. Right.
So it does stand very much in favour of the landlord or the investor.
It does. It does, yeah. So, but there's nothing, as a strategy, there's loads and loads and loads of people. That's the only thing they do in commercials. They just do single lets. But the multi-let with the licenses that we use just gives you more opportunity to increase the value, do things quicker, orientate your offer towards what the current market is, fluctuate your price a bit better. So for instance, from FRI, you might have a 20-year lease, and very seldom do you get them now, but you might have a 20-year lease, and there might be a mechanism there to change the price, but basically once you're locked in, you're locked in. With licenses and flex space, or CMO, I'm throwing all these things in here, right? It gives you the opportunity to tweak and turn and experiment and improve things all the time. The downside is you're at it all the time.
Yeah.
So a lot more work, it's got to be a lot more hands-on strategy.
Yeah.
So obviously it's not going to suit everybody, but obviously if you're looking at returns, potentially you're 10xing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, the returns can be phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, so and property's a slow burn, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but there's some buildings that we have that produce 30% plus return on the money put in, including the refurb and everything. But that's because they are, they're intensive. You got to look after them. You got to look after your clients. And, CMO is a strategy. With the operational side, you have to be aware that there's day-to-day management. So if you think about it,
almost like SA management, like you're responsible for facilities, everything you provide.
If you decide I'm going into SA and you don't use an agent to look after it, then you're rolling your sleeves up, right? And it's the same with CMO. However, like SA, you can scale your way out of it. So I think one of the mistakes some people make looking at CMO is, I'm going to buy this building, I'm going to make $2 or $3 grand a month, it's going to be awesome.
Got a job.
And then I'm going to go and get another one, and then you're getting a job.
Yeah.
You have to think about scale and not being involved all the time. And usually that means either A, using a different agency to run it, which generally they're pretty bad at, or B, employing staff.
If you employ someone on a CMO building from your very first building, does it almost wipe out the cash flow effectively? But then would that allow you to scale?
Yeah, that's a really interesting. That's a loaded question.
Right, I'm going to keep it simple then.
Yeah, go on.
Before we go into that. Right, I'm very interested in this strategy, right? I'm currently looking for a building, partly because I want to run my own business out of it. Other thing is I see the returns potentially available if I sublet the other space. So effectively, I need a building that'll house my business and will give me the option to split it up and rent it out to different businesses. Where should I be starting? Like, how do I get it clear in my head? Number one, what type of building I need and how financially and how that's going to work and how that's going to be financially viable to me. What's your top tips for starting out initially?
Here's an hours consultancy come right up for Nick.
This is it. It all depends what you want, Nick.
So I have 4 members, so I've got 4 of a team. Right, yep. So I need an office big enough for that, 4 desks, basically.
An expansion.
And, possible expansion, yes. And then I need, say I want to have another 4 to 5 other spaces that I want to let out so that effectively I'm getting my office paid for. And obviously I'm looking at, I don't want to add too many complications, but I'm looking to put it into a SaaS pension for long-term wealth building as well, so a pension.
Yep. Okay, so
This is the best place where people start with a CMO. I think I've heard you say this before, that if you have your own operating company like Nick does, it's good to start there because you're in there with your staff and then you let out the other spaces. Is that correct?
yeah, effectively you're becoming the tenant, which helps a lot with finance. So I will come back to your question, Nick, but people look at commercial and often after a while I work out what they're actually thinking is, I have to buy a vacant building. You don't have to buy a vacant building. You can buy buildings that either have a single tenant or have partial income. The other one, though, is to buy a building and put yourself in as the partial income. And that way it really helps with raising finance. But back to your question, Nick, there isn't a straightforward answer. There's a lot of questions to ask yourself, right? The first one is obviously, what do you want long term? It's sure right now it's about a business. Sorry, it's about you're shoehorning yourself into commercial and buying this building, right? But actually long term, if that works, are you going to stay in that building? You think about buying another building? Is commercial something you're just dabbling in? Is it something you want to build on? And that does have an effect on what you're doing. The second one is, how important is location to your business? And if your location is within a certain geographical area, then straight away, that's where you're going to be looking, right? Yeah. The second thing is then looking at actually all the competition in that area. That's really where you start to find out what's going on.
Brilliant.
Right?
Let's home into that then. So how would I do that? Checking out
competition. So the interesting thing about the commercial property market is the visible stuff tends to be what's to let and what's for sale, right? Which may mean there's a problem in those buildings because they haven't managed to let it and it's for sale, right? So to actually get the data that you want, you're going to have to look under the surface. So you need to go and talk to some agents and try and find out some details, but you're going to have to go and do some mystery shopping, right? Go and find out what others are charging. Yeah. What the structure is of what they're charging, because sometimes you'll look at brokers or commercial brokers online and you'll see, oh, look, it's £18 a square foot or it's £20 a square foot, and you work it back. But actually, if you read behind that, there's then a service charge.
I got one of them. So I've started doing that already. Interesting this week. And I'm still waiting to hear back from one agent that I contacted last week, and they've said that they would arrange a viewing, but I'm still waiting to hear back from them. But that was in the email. So it's per square foot and it was an annual charge. Because initially I thought it was monthly, because everyone goes on monthly in residential. I was like, what? Like 50 grand a month? What? But that's an annual. Plus it had the service fee. Yep. So I presume that's just for the communal building, cleaners, whatever. Yep. But they didn't include broadband, interestingly, because I was like, oh, this will be probably Jerry's model where it'll be like service spaces, but it wasn't. You had to pay for extra for your electricity rates, broadband, God knows what else is in there as well. So that's obviously a model in itself.
Yeah, there's many permutations. And interestingly, I mean, just briefly, people speak about, I'm going to do commercial. I'm going to try and do commercial, right, as my next strategy. Commercial, that'd be like saying I'm going to do residential as my next strategy.
Yeah.
Well, which one?
Yeah.
Why
and
let,
and even in that, which sub?
Yeah. So there's loads and loads of different areas. But also, just back to your question, Nick, because I'm conscious you're asking specifically about your setup.
Well, the reason why I'm asking about my setup is because I'm presuming that there are numerous other listeners listening to this that are in a similar position, because I know that through speaking to people that go on your program, that many are pursuing the CMO strategy.
So the other part is finance, right? So part of one side we're taught is, money isn't a problem. Money will find the project if it's a good project, right? Which I think is total nonsense, right? You've got to be raising money at the same time. You can't just go and find a project and then start shouting about it if you haven't got any contacts in finance. You've got to do both at the same time. But there's that thing about where are you comfy? Is it like a £200,000 building? Is it a £500,000 building? And that just also sets those parameters on the types of things you're looking at.
Do you think I should have been to see a broker then already? Because I've started viewing properties, and for example, I viewed one the other day. It was £450,000. Now I've only got £200,000 available to me, but I don't have a clue how commercial lending works. would you be advising me to go and see some sort of commercial broker?
You've got to be talking to some brokers, just to get feelings, understanding. Because the other part of, you're saying, where should you start when you're looking at getting a building potentially to have as your own business and to let out some other space? You got to go and educate yourself. And that's just by talking to agents, being out there, listening to podcasts, all that sort of stuff, of course. But you have to get in the swim and start just absorbing all the lingo and all the nonsense, the mystique that's in commercial.
I'm assuming from Nick's point of view as well, having a look at the finance side of it, what deposit you're putting down to what loan to value you're going, if it's 50, 60, 70% loan to value, you're only getting about a maximum at 65 on?
Yeah, so I finally got my refinance through last Friday, right?
Which was for what building?
It was for a few buildings. So it took a long time, and I mean, that's another whole podcast episode, but basically we got a loan to value 55% on that, which is quite low, but it meant...
Were you hoping for more?
I wasn't bothered for more. It was the other stuff that I wanted.
Is it low because you're still the tenant technically from your operating company? Does that affect the loan to value?
No, the loan to value was low because we worked on a open market value. So the open market valuation is like, if we sold this in the fair weather, how much would we get? Therefore, we'll lend you 55% against that. Whereas a lot of commercial lending at the moment is on bricks and mortar. So forget how much income it's making. How much is it worth bricks and mortar? Oh, it's worth £100,000. Well, we can lend up to 75%. So the last finance I had on another building was 75% loan to value, but it was on vacant possession.
Which would be less value.
Which was a less value.
Less risk for the lender.
Less risk for the lender, but it's itsy bitsy, right? And actually on that previous one, I did get an offer on open market value, but it was actually ended up I was getting less money because they were a lower loan to value. Yes.
So from next, would he go? I'm assuming look at the loan to value he's going to get. Look at what monthly costs his lending is going to be, and then look at what cost an office space would be just for himself and his business. Sure. Then try and offset that against, well, if I've got that space, how much other spaces can I rent to mitigate the cost and make the investment work?
Yeah, I mean,
or would you factor in your cost?
If you could, right, the simplest way is find a building that your business can afford, that all you have to do is prove to the bank your business can afford it.
Then anything else is a bonus.
Yeah, that's obviously the simplest, right?
Yeah.
The other side of it though, Nick, is don't be limited by the amount of money you've got access to, right? You could get money from private. I mean, for instance, the next buildings that I'm looking at, they will be done with private finance. The last one we bought private finance, then but not the back end. But later on down the track, we brought in traditional bank finance. And that would be something I would say to you, try and work with private finance. It makes it so much easier to start with,
Just a bit more flexibility.
Yeah. To borrow money in commercial and in resi, but in commercial is difficult right now. And if you're looking at a vacant possession building, no income, all costs, you will not be able to buy it unless you're putting some kind of security on another property and you've got income from somewhere else that's going to cover it.
Where would the security for the private investors come from? I mean, obviously it depends, right? But let's say, is that something that you would recommend, just try to buy the building cash with private investor funds?
So Nick, if you just using your numbers, so let's say the building is 240 grand, it's going to cost 60 grand to do it up. You've got 200 or access to 200. Then the other 100 comes from private and you give them security over the building because nobody else needs security.
Yeah.
If you need more than one private individual, then you can start doing syndication where right at the front end, there's 3 or 4 investors and the security is syndicated between them all.
That they all share the charge or...
Yes.
Right, go ahead.
I haven't done that, but that's another way of doing it.
So just so that I can avoid all the pitfalls and the mistakes that you made during your... How long have you been doing this now?
20 years.
This stuff, 20 years,
So you must have made a few mistakes down the way then. So what would you say the most common mistakes are then for people to try and avoid?
For doing CMO specifically?
Let's stick to the CMO. Because like you said, we can go off in all different directions, and that's what your commercial property podcast is for, because there's hundreds of episodes now where you can find anything out. So let's just stick to this strategy specifically.
Okay. Size matters. So
I heard that before.
I heard that wasn't the case.
I'm resisting. I'm biting my tongue, Stephen. Size does matter. So it's back to that thing about scale. And if you want to do this as a single strategy and you're happy rolling your sleeves up and doing it as a thing on the side, as it were, then, or your business is in there and they're by default you've got staff there that can look after customers, that's fine. But if you want to build a large portfolio with this type of building, you need scale. And I'm not talking necessarily scale on the portfolio, but scale on the buildings. A smaller building to get started is great. Just the whole process, just oils the whole process, right? But I do believe you need larger buildings to get better scale for covering costs. So
and is that operating costs?
Yes.
Because obviously there's only so far and so many hours that you have as an individual in the day. So if you want to scale this, you can't do all this work yourself. So you've got staffing costs.
So as an example, at the weekend there, I was actually painting a ceiling in one of our units. And the reason I was painting that ceiling was I'm trying to work out how we're going to redesign the space, right? So I'm going to paint the ceiling while I'm trying to work this out.
An 18-inch roller or a 12-inch roller?
Probably only a 12 and a 1.5 inch brush. But anyway, my cutting in was fantastic. I
would say a while on some of those big commercial properties.
But there's just no way I could be the painter for our units because there's a lot of them, right? And I was doing the ceiling, I'm thinking, geez, how many ceilings have we got? There's a lot of ceilings, right? So you need a team, right? But interestingly, no matter what business you're in, if you do build up a team, that's how you make it more passive, right? So you can make an active strategy passive, but you need scale to do it. But the thing about the building size is, if you think about it, sure, there's some costs that are proportional to the size of the building. So for instance, heating, bigger building is going to be more heating, right? But there's other costs that don't. Marketing's pretty much the same, right? If you've got staff member, they can look after 4,000 square foot or 30,000 square foot. So the cost gets shared out over a bigger square footage, right? So actually the larger buildings can make more money and they can look after themselves better because they've got enough scale to have somebody in there or two people in there looking after them. So small's great to start with, but longer term, I think you need to go for buildings that are going to make themselves a little bit more standalone.
And so really, you're starting off as an investor, but really, if you want to scale that, you're becoming an operating business. You're becoming a business.
That's a really active investor, isn't you?
It's no longer an investment then. It becomes a business and you're then...
There's two sides to this, though, Nick, right? So you can do what a lot of us do in residential, which is I'm going to be an active investor in that I'm going to buy something, add an extension, refurb, whatever it is, to add value. Then I'll hand it over to somebody like you to look after, right? Or you look after it yourself. It's exactly the same in this. You buy the commercial building, you do it all up, you do all the work, and then either A, you hand it over to somebody else to look after, or you look after it yourself. And in our scenario, we're doing all the operations ourselves.
I would imagine if you got an agent, are there agents that look after flexi space? And
so there are, but they are pretty terrible at it.
And probably costly as well.
Yeah.
I just to put it on context as well, because I remember the first commercial that we looked at together, I managed to divide Kelly up into 17 spaces, and you would think that, because I remember you saying you're looking at it and you were thinking that's too small to fit our model. I thought, too small, it's 6,000 or 7,000 square feet. You did mention that scale made the covering overheads a lot better, and chopping into 17 spaces, as soon as you employed a member of staff or a receptionist or a handyman or a couple of part-time member staff, that wiped out the profit. So when I'm talking about scale, that's the size we're talking about, is to get as multiple people paying in that building as you can. And even in the 17 spaces we thought we can get, it almost broke even by putting in a couple of part-time members of staff.
So it absolutely, small buildings can work, right? So it's a great way to get into it. It's a great way of generating some good income. You just have to be aware that there's an operational side to it.
Is he on the operations there? Sorry to interrupt. It's just dead interesting speaking to people who are actually doing it as well, because obviously I'm thinking, I speak to Gillian Green quite a lot. They've got a couple of buildings. Chris and Andrew Brightstone as well in Falkirk there, and you things that you just don't think of. You think you're buying this investment, you just see the numbers, but you don't actually see the operations. And if you've not got that staff set up, it's basically all falling down on you. So for Gillian, it was like, or Darren, it was like they had to like go and top up the toilet roll. You know, it's like stuff like that people are renting space. They want all that. Everyone's included in the price.
For them, yeah.
They're expecting that done. Somebody's got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately it falls back on you. The other one was Chris. I've brought this up already on the podcast. I'm like, what have you been up to today, Chris? Met him at a networking event a couple of months ago. He's like, plunging a toilet, Nick. That's what it's. He says it's not all glamorous and it's not all numbers. Ultimately, if you're not employing somebody to do all that stuff, or you don't have a maintenance contract set up with a company who's coming in and doing it, it's falling back on you.
Yeah, but you can easily have a CMO building and get another operator in.
Yeah, I was going to go into the one that we are doing at the moment. The CMO is a lot smaller, but because we're operating out of that business and we've got a member of staff in there, they're doing the toilet roll, they're doing they're almost being the receptions. They're that member of staff that's already getting paid inside the trading business almost acts as a member of staff, and that building's only got 10 spaces. It's actually profitable when you look at it because you've got somebody in there.
You were asking about mistakes. So one of the things about that specifically, Stephen, is that works for the business and the operating side that you've got, right, which is a separate business, right? For you, Nick, if you buy this building to move your business into, right, and it stays there as long as you have the building, then that's absolutely fine.
Yeah,
but if you buy it with your business to get it going and then think, I'm going to move on to the next one, but somebody needs to be there, right? Yeah. Because you were there operating, and some people don't think about, well, actually, at some point, if I'm going to expand and have lots of these buildings, I can't be in all of them.
Yeah. I'm having it in my license that you need to take your own toilet roll and bring a plunger to work as well, just in case your shite blocks the toilets. Anyway, moving on. So that's a couple of the pitfalls and the reality of it. Let's face it, and that's the thing I like about you, Jerry. You don't often hear. You don't make it sound. Like you hear a lot of course people that talk kind of, it's all just sexy, become financially free, go and live in a yacht and all the rest. So you seem to be quite grounded, and you say, look, this is possible, but it's hard work, and you're quite honest with your take on things as well. So
cool.
I think it's always good to share the difficulties.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah. We will talk about the positives in a bit, though.
Yeah, we need to. See, we're talking about Nick's kind of situation there. Could you hire a member of staff inside your trading company, just say it was a part-time member of staff to operate his business? Could the cost be taken on the trading company, but it's almost running that business? So the business centre then makes money, but only because the overhead's been absorbed into the trading company.
Oh, absolutely. So when we bought our first building, we moved our trading business, a different trading business in, and between us, because the property thing was all on the side, right? It was all part-time. Not even part-time. It was just the main thing for me was it was importing roofing products and selling them. So we had an employee in there, and between us, we would look after the building.
Yeah.
And it was only maybe the third employee was like, right, let's bring somebody in to actually look after the building.
Yeah. Are you still doing the roofing business?
Yeah.
You still are? Interesting. Let's take a quick break, guys, from today's show to talk about selling your property with Prime Property Auctions. Now, myself and Stephen have both used John and Lewis from Prime in the past, and we can personally vouch for their service. They sell vacant and tenanted property, and you get to control the minimum reserve price so that you're not selling your property for peanuts. They pay for all the stuff like photos, videos, and all the marketing stuff up front, so you're not paying anything from the start, and it's a no sale, no fee. So if you want to check out Prime Property Auctions, then get across to the link on the show notes and speak to the guys. So let's talk about the positives then, because we need to balance it out, obviously. Positives are obviously the potential rewards in terms of, ROIs and stuff like that. Give us some more.
It's cash flow, Nick.
Cash flow.
I mean, even 20 years ago when I was doing resi, I was like, right, how do I scale this? How do I get more out of what I'm doing? And I didn't know about buying portfolios or SA and anything like that. I was just busy away myself, right, after reading a few books weeks, thinking, right, well, buy to let's what I need to do. So, you add on a property and you're like another £200 a month or whatever it is, and thinking, geez, well, how am I going to hit my targets with this? So I did start looking at other stuff. How do I find a bigger deal? I wasn't specifically thinking it's got to be commercial, but I was looking at kind of retail units and the typical stuff that you would look at, thinking that was my way in. But I did think that the return looked fairly, it was passive, but it looked fairly passive. It's like 10 grand for 100 grand investment, 10%, maybe 12%, depending on what you're doing. It was only when I really started to see the difference that the cash flow made on the value is when that's when I really twigged, right, this thing's something I really need to concentrate on. And actually, I remember going on funnily enough, a 3-day training thing, right, for Resi. And the only thing I got out of that was, holy moly, I should be doing this full time. So I actually went and pulled out my other stuff that I was doing and focused specifically on the commercial stuff because it really needed my time, right? Because then, back to your question, it gave, I could see what the cash flow was doing. It was giving a lot of cash flow, but I hadn't realised the effect it had on value. So I went and got the second building, or was going to get the second building.
Just sorry to rewind that a little bit. You mean in the effect on the building based, the building's bringing in more income, meaning that's return on investment, is the valuations, obviously, the commercial valuations, obviously, on the income it's producing, because you've managed to extract more income from it, the valuations went through the roof.
Yeah, and I hadn't realised that was going on.
Yeah, just a very good point for people. Let's just say that again.
Say that better, Stephen.
So basically, I bought the building for £240,000 because it was producing £24,000 net income. So it was 10% return. Doesn't sound great, but that's what it was. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but nevertheless, I thought what I could do is when a room or a unit comes up, because this building had like 20 odd units, I thought I'll just do them up. That's what I do in Resi, right? So when a unit comes up, I'll redecorate it, put in a false ceiling or something, new carpet, rent it for slightly higher. And I did that for a few years. And the income went from 24 net to about 70, 75 net. So the income, but this is over years, right, over a period of time, before finance, by the way. You've still got to pay for finance after that. But anyway, I then was going for the second building. The bank said, well, we need a valuation on your building, your original one. And I got it valued, and they came back and said, oh, it begins with a 7, I think. Like, what do you mean 7? 70 grand? What do you mean? I've spent loads on this. and it was 750 was the valuation. So the value tripled, but so did the income.
Yeah, and if you go back a couple of episodes to Stephen Gallagher as well, we were talking about investing with SAS pensions. He talked about buying a building for around, I don't know, what was it, 300 or something like that. And then he got a valuation end value of over a million or something like that. So again, tripling the value
by increasing income.
Changing
it's just, it has a major effect on value.
Double barrel, isn't it?
But just to put caution in there, just because the multiple comes out at 750 doesn't mean somebody's willing to pay for that.
Yeah.
Right. There is a ceiling sometimes.
Is that almost like your HMO valuation, by doing it based on a commercial valuation or a bricks and mortar valuation, that people won't necessarily pay that?
There's negotiation. So the second building we bought, the cash flow on that is phenomenal. And there's just no way I'd be able to sell it for a multiple of 10 because it's within an area where there's a ceiling, right? So as much as I'd like to sell the second building for several £1 million, it's not going to happen because it's just going to be pinned back by other buildings around it. So although that rule for a multiple of 10 is a good rough guide, it's not definitive. It's a willing buyer and a willing seller at the end of the day.
That'll make you just keep it, because I knew you were changing tact a little bit and thinking about offloading a couple of buildings. Would that make you keep it because the income's so good you're never getting the valuation based on that?
That's part of it, yeah. That's part of it.
How would the lender look at these valuations then? Because they're obviously wanting to get do they get their own surveyor just like Resi to go out and do it, and then obviously are they valuing it on the income, or are they...
So the lender will, and this is why when you're going out finance, it's really important to ask the question right up at the front, what valuation method are you going to use? So the current one we just refinance with up front, we will do we'll do an open market valuation. So then the process is the bank instruct, well, they don't. The banks ask for quotes from the local panel for surveyors or whatever. They send them to you. You have a look at them and say, well, I'm going to pick that one. And you may think, I'm going to pick the cheapest one, but you need to pick the one that understands your model best. Mm-hmm. So you might need to pre-interview them a little bit. They then do the valuation for the bank. The bank says, I want an open market value. I do want a bricks and mortar value, and I do want a 90-day sale and all this sort of stuff. But basically, they instruct the valuer. You pay for it.
It's getting complex, this commercial investor, isn't it?
Same as residential. Yeah.
Well, aye, but there's different ways of obviously valuing.
So our valuations, so the refinance we did, we spent 17 grand on valuations. I know. It's like unbelievable amount of money.
Can that get added on to the loan?
And guess what? Every valuation came back where I thought it probably would do. I mean, you read the value report. It's 50 pages, right? The one page that matters. You're like, how much did I pay for this?
So did you have to get numerous valuations then?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Just to get the valuation you wanted.
Was that no, because we were doing several buildings.
Oh, that's a few buildings. Yeah. All right, okay. And that is money you need to pay up front. You can't add that onto the loan, right?
Pay it up front. Yep, you got to find it up front.
That's just that. So that's something else. That's
several buildings. I mean, if you're doing a valuation for one building, I did a valuation 3 weeks ago. It was £1,800
just
for one
building.
Kelly
there.
While we're on that, upfront costs and then costs that you might not think about, because I'm very early on in this and I'm thinking all I'm looking at, right, and this is scary because I've had to kind of pinch myself later down the line when I'm trying to do numbers, is I'm just looking at mortgage costs, like finance costs. I'm looking at the rent and then I'm looking at the finance costs. And that's really all I'm factoring in. Very dangerous, right? Give us a quick list of all the other costs that somebody should be thinking about.
Okay. So, I mean, on the way in, you might have your broker costs, of course, right? You'll also have the fee from the finance people. Interesting, just for a quick aside, my refinance was delayed because just on the day we were about to do it, the bank brought out a new thing where they were giving EPCs of B or A or B, 0 arrangement fee. So I saved significant amount of money by delaying for 2 or 3 weeks while we redid the loan paperwork based on the fact that some of our buildings had that.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
But anyway, the pellet system, you've got
it's biomass, but it's also if you've got a building with electric heating, I mean, it's a nonsense. They've redone the EPCs; they need redoing. But oh my word, yeah. I mean, I was doing a viewing yesterday with one of our customers at the Commercial Property Investor, right, down in Gala Shields, and we're looking around this building, and this thing's got like a B or a C or something, and it is a typical Victorian building. No insulation anywhere, single pane windows where they haven't been broken, and it's electric heating, and that's why the EPCs come out pretty positive, right? But anyway,
and that's all getting changed. Obviously, there's a heating's bill. I don't know if that affects the commercial. Does it? This heating bill that's coming out,
yes.
And that will all change because they're trying to do away with obviously gas boilers eventually.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, my takeaway from that is if your EPC is anywhere near needing doing, get it done.
Get it done now. Basically,
get it done now. Anyway, so you might also, on the way in, decide that you are going to pay an architect and various other professionals to give you more guidance on what you're doing. You may decide to pay for a building valuation, depends how long you've been doing it. You may decide to do certain surveys on the property. What I tend to do though, Nick, and I would definitely suggest for you too, is numbers are key, as in doing lots of offers. And just as I was going through this project yesterday, we quick back of the fag packet, here's where it needs to be, here's your build costs, here's where it needs to be on the buy, on the front end. Just submit an offer based on that. Don't go spending loads of money. Thing is, if you're only looking at one building, you're emotionally involved, you spend, you're like doing everything, right? And then you don't buy it and you're like, shell shocked. You're in mourning for several weeks.
What would be going on the back of the fag packet then? Which numbers?
The key one for the cost for buying the building would be the square meter rate that you think it's going to cost to do it up, right? So it could be between £100 a square meter to £1,000 a square meter, right? Totally different. And it does depend on what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And then I would also be looking at what is the market rate for the type of product you're trying to sell. So if you're doing serviced offices, what is the market rate? And if you're doing just leased, what's the market rate? Okay. And then I would look at the market quality. So if I'm going to go and rent a typical space locally for £20 a square foot, what's the quality like? So what I want to be able to do is, because the pie doesn't need to be getting any bigger, right? The market doesn't have to grow, although flex market is growing phenomenally, right? But the pie doesn't have to get any bigger. You just have to have a prettier part of the pie, right? Because to attract people. So, so an old mentor of mine up in Dundee, he always told me this. He says, look, at the end of the day, if you can buy it for the right price and you can provide a product of at least the same quality at a lower price, the market doesn't have to be getting bigger. You just need time and a bit of marketing to let people know. So you need to find out what's it going to cost to redevelop to a certain spec that is going to compete with the local market, and can I offer my new product at less than everybody else and it still works? So as an example, if you're looking at a building that's in an area where it's maybe £15 a square foot for letting out, if you can do it at £13 a square foot and still make money, does that work? And if the answer is yes, then I would be less worried about market growth and all that kind of stuff, because actually your numbers on the way and work. And this is why I've done very little build. I've done some extensions. I've not built any buildings on a plot of ground other than a house, because the maths just don't add up.
What the price you can buy it for?
What you can buy a second-hand building for.
Mm-hmm. So people say, why don't you do new build? Because like, obviously like that's something that went through my head, because like I'm driving through industrial estates and all the rest of it. I'm thinking, why can I not just buy a plot of land and just make it a really lovely brand new business centre, and then like
it cost £1 million. But
so in 2009, right? So we just bought a second building, and one of the national providers before 2008 had built a brand new spanking flex space, right?
So it'd be like a Regis or something like that, or
I mean, they're now changed hands to different things and gone through different phases. But basically, at the time, they'd spent something like £3 million on this building, and I bought one of the similar size down the road for 300,000.
That's insane.
Right? But it was an old building. Wasn't a pretty looking building. Wasn't all shiny with nice new coffee machines and meeting rooms and everything else. But nevertheless, it was still functional, and it was proportionally quite a bit cheaper. And then I spent maybe 250, I think it was, on doing it up. And then when 2008 happened, 2009, you do lose clients during those periods, right? But also you do gain clients fairly quickly because of the uncertainty, and they like the flexibility, right?
Well, I'm assuming the people that's got a £3 million building need to charge accordingly. And
so I was getting phone calls from the £3 million building saying, Jerry, why are you letting space for so little?
Oh, really?
It's like, I didn't spend £3 million on the building.
Oof.
But because it's a totally different model, right? It's a totally different price point. So the problem is, if you build brand new and then shit hits the fan, you've got nowhere to move. Yeah. That's why a lot of the time you see these pavilion buildings that are built for a specific customer, a specific tenant, and the only way that building can operate in the market, the only way is if it gets revalued, and somebody has to take a bath. And that's why you sometimes see these buildings, pavilion buildings, sitting for ages because nobody wants to write it down in the book value. So they just sit there at, it's worth £3 million. It's not generating any money, but it's worth £3 million. So on their book value, along with all the rest of the portfolio, it still holds up. But at some point, somebody has to sell it for 100 or 200 or 300,000 pounds, and then it's reset.
Yeah, it was funny you said about the build cost versus the buying cost. I just got the valuation done for Kelly. no, it's what's 4 or 5 years ago, got it for 85 grand.
This is your commercial building.
The reinstatement value is over £2 million. So to build it would cost £2 million. You buy it for 85 grand.
Would it work renting out?
No.
Actually, do you know what? No, it wouldn't. Because you would need a £200,000 rent. Yes, I don't think you're quite
10%.
near there, are you?
No, not really. No, definitely not. But that's a good point about the build versus the buy-in.
Whilst we're on that one, are you happy the way that's worked out, or would you?
Yeah. Well, I opted for. I went down the same route you were going down with the CMO for that first one, and then realised how active it was at the time, and it wasn't the right fit for me at that time, because how busy I was in other businesses. That I was like, I don't want the active CMO version of this. Let's just find the one tenant. And I already had a backup plan of a tenant in mind, so that's been on a 5-year FRI lease. That's going well because it's hands off as possible.
Your ROI on that's amazing.
Yeah, it was phenomenal because the price, purchase price, right enough. But
you took a bit of persuasion to buy that building, Steve.
I did take a lot of persuasion. I'm actually laughing at Nick doing a podcast for you to pick your brain to try and convince you. But I had the same fucking problem 4 or 5 years ago. Like, nah. The numbers just aren't stacking up. What do you mean the numbers aren't stacking up? It's fucking 7,000 square foot building for 85 grand you're getting it for.
But there was a time that he was like, because I remember seeing the stories, and he would go in there and the roof was leaking like a sieve and there's buckets everywhere and all that. Yeah, actually, at one point I think he actually spent a couple of days there working from a laptop just by himself for like anything.
In a huge big space.
Frozen. But I remember I had to say to you, I said, look, what if I bought it?
right, fuck you, Jerry, I'm buying it.
But
you take a bit of persuasion on something you don't know, especially going from residential to commercial. There's so much of the unknown and the costs and then that scare factor of I don't know what this part is, don't know what that part is. But yeah, almost doing the rough numbers of the back of the 5-packet calculation and going, it works at that.
How long's that been now? Your tenant's been in there? What's the guy do again?
He's actually CMO.
Is he?
He CMO'd it. So I planted the seed with him to CMO this building, saying you could do what I was going to do, which was more of a wellness centre and have the separate rooms. And he's got a gym section, pole dancing, tattooist, a cafe. He's got all these wee bits.
Like, when's your lease run out?
This is the problem I'm thinking was always going to come up after the 5 year.
Right.
That's the problem building was who else goes into this, because if it does come back to me that I have to then CMO it to then make the investment stack up.
Yeah, you got to help. It's got to be sustainable for him. Yeah. But it's interesting. Yeah, there's a CMO with somebody else doing the operations.
Yeah, going back to your point about doing it up where it's got to compete with the local market and what else is available and that kind of offer. If you like, do you find, because you've been doing this that long now, is there some of your spaces now that you're having to obviously put a bit of investment back into? I mean, it's like anything, isn't it? You need to keep it up, refresh it. I don't know whether it's new furniture or refurbing it, different areas.
100%. That is a mistake. So that question's still rattling around in my head about what other mistakes. Definitely a mistake. And I see people doing this with SA and HMO too, where they do all the numbers, or at least they present it this way. Here's all the numbers. It's this lovely shiny building. Everybody's going to take this because it's a lovely shiny building. It ain't going to be lovely shiny for very long because there's humans involved, right? So it does deteriorate, and you continually paint and do stuff up, but eventually you have to do a refurb.
Aye.
However, like HMOs, as just being an example, you have, let's say you're renting out at £400 a room, whatever it is, right? And then over time, the market is going up to maybe 500, but you're not quite getting to the 500, you may be 450. And then you might start going to 440 and 430 because you've not reinvested and redeveloped the whole building. So you do get diminishing returns. And it would be the same with office space. So over time, you might go to 380 is all you're getting. And you have to, and then you might not be conscious of it, but at some point you have to think, decision time. Am I going to spend 50 grand on doing all this up to get myself to 550, or am I just going to hold for another year or 2 or 3? But a lot of people do not realize that you'll have to reinvest and go again. But it's that curve, and people can't see this when I'm doing fingers in the air for a podcast, right? But if you've got a curve where
it's on YouTube,
that's right. You put the money in, right? And so you've got the rent up higher, and then you get that diminishing return where things start coming off because the quality of the product goes. And you have this this decision, and you might do this, Nick, you might build your space out to a certain spec, and then you're like, right, either I'm going to just maintain that, or actually I'm going to go again and go for a higher spec. And you push it all up again and you go for a higher. So even though some of our buildings have been with us for a long time, we're still experimenting. So that's why refurbing and trying to push for a higher. Where's the ceiling? I don't know.
So that's where I think that for me, this CMO is going to be like a one-off purchase, right? And it's going to be my business and other spaces. I think commercial property in general, like whether it be like little retail units or something like that, where it's completely hands-off, I like the idea of diversifying portfolio long-term for that. And I hope to continue to invest in commercial, but that's why I bring myself back to resi, that I like that so much, because there is such a demand and a shortage of housing supply, the rents are not really that badly affected. Like, you know, whether that's right or wrong, because we all take pride in what we rent out and we want people to be comfortable in their homes and provide a good quality of home. You know, but I'm seeing on the market at the moment, because rents have skyrocketed over the last couple of years, properties, you know, that will still get rented out that have not been touched for 30 years. But because there's that shortage, so that's kind of holds that market up. And also the property
if that
price
changes, I'm supposed to be the same thing as Jerry was saying then. And if that changes and the market demand dries up, will that 30-year-old property need to have 15, 20 grand spent to get it back up to get the market rent again?
Yeah, but how's that demand going to dry up unless the
government make it happen?
So right, when did you buy your first property, Nick, to rent out to somebody else?
2001.
2001, good time period. So if you're in this thing for a long term, right, stuff will change. The market, sure, there's loads of demand in the residential market, right? That will change. It will change at some point, right? And maybe after you've retired. But you do have to realize that these things come and go. And I mean, just in commercial, for instance, for us, we've had buildings where there was the whole market or the tenancy was all about finance and mortgage brokers. There used to be loads of mortgage brokers and all these people, right? And then they've sort of slowly drifted off, and now it's all health and well-being. And things do change. And I think in resi, sure, there's political changes all the time, right? But you just have to think at some point this will change. Don't put yourself in a position where you're thinking this is going to be like this forever. You just have to be ready for those changes.
Roll with it, yeah. You mentioned it as well. See, from the CMO point of view, do you get quite a holistic view of the economy by what businesses are doing well? Like you mentioned years ago, there was loads of mortgage brokers. Now there's loads of health and wellness people in the buildings.
So I think it's fair to say we are a tiny, tiny little speck in the UK economy and really are not a great barometer at all. But in the markets we're in, it's interesting to see how demand has shifted and how, for instance, the health and well-being sector is booming, and professionalising.
Yeah. And you mentioned, like, just to kind of keep on the CMO model as well, and the flex space model, you mentioned before you're seeing a huge increase in it. Do you think it's because of the effect of COVID and working from home that these big, huge, massive office spaces aren't getting used and they're going for smaller spaces, or they're given the flexibility for these smaller spaces like yours?
It's a whole heap of things.
Right.
So health and well-being is professionalising. They're taking on spaces that they used to maybe shun away from. They were maybe in the back of a hairdresser's or in a garage, or they would go and see clients. Now they're all spending money on spaces where it's flex and it allows them to just concentrate on the business and not on all the business rates and everything else that they would maybe have to do if they were taking on premises. So it's much more accessible for them. But there is a huge drive from landlords, major financial institutional landlords, to flex. So I really deal with micro businesses. Occasionally we have a big whopper of a business that takes space with us, but generally it's local micro businesses. And that sector has held up well. It has transformed and changed. So there used to be a lot of mortgage brokers, and during COVID, there was quite a lot of people involved in trying to make money in COVID through masks or whatever it was. And then there's been, a change again. But it does depend a little bit on your location. So in Dundee, we have a lot of games companies. a lot of tech companies, which is a really interesting market, but you're not going to get that maybe in Wishaw, as an example. I don't know, maybe you would, but I just think that it is really specifically based around where your geographical location is. The one other mistake just coming from that is that people will sometimes say, I am going to focus on this sector. I'm going to build or develop this building for this sector. As an example, they're a mortgage broker and they're like, right, I want a painter in here. I want an estate agent. I want, people that are in my sector. And they go and focus on that. I think that's a bad move because you are,
change.
Yeah. We've never built a building out for a specific sector. Sure, we've had an eye on it and thought, well, if they move in, maybe we need sinks, or if they move in, maybe we need...
I get the logic behind it. Obviously, you can start referring business to each other and all the rest of it, but ultimately, I'll just take whoever's going to pay me the rent.
It's the rent.
It's I don't care.
I get the theory behind it, having the one building that caters for all, and it almost does this, almost kind of self-markets for you, wouldn't it? But I think the downside is, like you say, if something changes in that market, that industry or that marketplace, you're at the mercy of it.
If you're doing it for long term, it's always about long term. You just realize all of this comes to pass. There'll be something else, and you just have to be aware of that and flexible and understand that eventually this building is going to cost me more to reinvest and go again, or I sell it at that stage. And all the valuations at multiples of 10 and all that stuff, that's exciting. It's great for valuation, for refinancing. But ultimately, it's about what people are willing to pay for the building, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going back to my own experience just recently about going out and do viewings and that. I've been turning up to buildings. I think a couple I've seen have been like maybe 12,000 square foot or something like that. Quite decent sized buildings. And at this moment, I've got serious imposter syndrome turning up. Just meeting the agent at the front door, getting taken around, and I'm just like, I do not have a clue what I'm supposed to be looking at here. Do you know what I mean? So that's a mindset thing as well.
Yes.
And it's about how do I come across credible, where I can build up relationship, because obviously there's an agent now, I think it's DM Hall. I've been at a couple of viewings now, and I don't want them to think the next time I pick up the phone to them, he's just another time waster.
Nick, just get over yourself.
Get over it.
You just have to go and do the viewings.
Yeah.
And maybe go with a wee set of questions, right? That might be, I don't know. You know how they love jargon in this industry, right? So you might, what's the local yields that you're seeing? Or whatever you want to do, right? But basically, just ask questions. You don't have to talk as though you know what you're talking about. Let them do all the talking.
Probably would tell if I didn't turn up in shorts and t-shirts as well, as if I've just come from the gym.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't know. I just feel like it's a lot more kind of
I think you're right. I think it's a scale. If you're talking about, walking in from you own a couple of one-bed flats that are fucking this size, and you're walking in this massive building, you just think, shit, this is another level. But I think Jerry's right.
Probably the same value as the 2 one-bedrooms.
Yeah. A couple of specific questions for yourself, Jerry. Just really interested to find out what's going on in your own investing. I was watching you for a while there, and you had this big building. It was I think it was a former tax office or something like that. So how's that one going? Is that because you were doing a lot of work in there? Yeah.
So that building's basically, there's 2 buildings really, and 2 floors in each. So we developed the ground floor of one of the wings to do our more traditional CMO or our normal CMO model with licenses. Yeah. I think we've built about 15 units and we've got maybe 12 away, something like that. That kind of proportion.
It's a big building, right?
It's monster building.
It's my favorite one of yours.
Yeah.
It's 35,000 square feet plus. Yeah, it's a big building. Some of it's on traditional leases though, IRI leases. A couple of those came up. Dilapidations have been done, which is a whole other topic. But
does that get a lot of the money back to cover the refurb costs and you splitting it, or not quite?
No, the dilapidations were good.
Oh, were they? Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you said you've got a couple of buildings in the pipeline that you're looking at, or what?
Yeah, I'm looking at some other buildings. I'm trying to niche more. I'm trying to do more in listed buildings, character buildings. That's what I've why I wanted to do property in the first place, was all buildings, doing them up. So I've got a couple now that need many people involved in the process of decision making on them being sold. They're off market. They're kind of these types of buildings that aren't owned by one person. There's committees and all sorts of things. Yeah. But if I can navigate my way through, there'll be super buildings to add. Yeah.
Nice. And would that be pursuing the CMO strategy as well for these ones?
Yeah. Although one might have a bit of resi in it. Just to throw that in there.
Interesting. SA?
Probably, yes. It's just because, it's the best method for that building, a mixture.
See, when you're appraising buildings to add to your portfolio now, then I'm assuming that the overheads wouldn't be the same for Nick looking at the building because you've got staff now that could almost head office staff that can take care of lots of parts of the building.
It's a bit more complicated than that. So as an example, I've been asked about a building in another city that's quite far away.
So that's
like down south.
Whole new staff.
And it's like an amazing opportunity. And I'm like, oh, this would be fantastic. But then I'm like, how's Albert going to get down there to do up the whatever? Right? So you'd have to get a new team.
Yeah.
Right? You have to get down there that whole thing. Yeah, exactly. So the whole thing needs to restart. So we've generally bought stuff quite local, so with that in mind.
Albert can go around and paint every part of the
portfolio. So there's finance, HR, stuff that and marketing to a point where you're spending that money anyway, and actually adding another building in doesn't make any difference. So part of the thing I originally thought was, I need to get 6 I need 6 buildings of 10,000 square foot plus, because that will give me enough critical mass to have the team. Somebody doing finance, someone doing marketing, someone doing operations, blah, blah, blah.
How many are you at for that?
We're at 7 buildings.
All right.
So I thought the 6th building was giving you an MD.
There was that. Yes.
I should have called you in that.
Skiing holidays.
There was that.
Did you get there?
I haven't got an MD now.
No, I didn't think you did.
So would that be what is the ultimate goal? Are you very much, obviously you're in there with a paint roller at the moment, so I know it's not always like that, but ultimately is your goal to take a back step, do more skiing holidays?
My goal is a certain cash flow amount, right? Always has been. To do more of the historical buildings because I just enjoy it. And to have to have it so the business can scale without me. That's kind of what I'm trying to work on at the moment.
Someone in the property team almost to make the decisions that you're doing.
Yeah, it's 2 different teams.
Yeah.
It's one team doing operations, one team doing...
Are you feeling a lot on your shoulders at the moment with the day-to-day operations?
No, not day-to-day. No, there's some amazing people on our team that do that day-to-day. The thing that's been on my shoulders has been the refinance. It's taken a long time, and it,
assuming that
it's affected my ability to kind of be creative. It's just
it's been like an anchor.
It's been an anchor. And there's one other mistake I've made in the last 2 years. 18 months.
Oh, shit, man, fuck that.
18 months. Yeah, but it's not an insignificant amount of money, right? And one of the things, I did get a couple of offers for money earlier on, but they were both really expensive. And the bank that I was with were generous enough to extend the loans 3 times. But this new loan, not only have I managed to get a good, not an LTV, a good rate on the actual lending, it's a couple of % over base, but it's also, I've got extra money out. So now nice. I can go again. Whereas, anybody else was just not offering that.
You can go shopping again.
But anyway, the other mistake I made, which I really want to share, was that during 2020, 2021, we did a lot of redevelopment, and I did it with cash flow. I borrowed some private money, but most of it I did with cash flow. So, this month's income goes on, and actually that ended up being too constraining and too much pressure.
Too tight on the cash flow because you didn't have any reserves.
I should have said, right, this redevelopment is going to cost 150 grand. I'm going to go and borrow 150 grand. And I didn't. I did it all on cash flow. And
but you did think that the flower mill was going to cost you 250 grand and ended up being what? 750 or something more.
That's slightly different. That's slightly different.
I guess that ties into my finishing question here, is that, you know, if you were to start this whole thing again, right from the start, is there anything you would do differently? But I mean, I guess you've just described something there. Is there anything else that you'd do differently?
So definitely the biggest thing that held me back was myself. So if I could, I would do more.
And is that just...
Do we not all say that though?
Yeah.
Is that just because you're a natural kind of like, you just don't take big risks, or are you quite analytical and think things through too much?
No, I think it's more to do with just your whole conditioning thing. Like, so while I was busy doing business centres for the last 20 years, Adam Newman started WeWork in New York in 2010 or whatever it was, and you know, went to the moon and blew up, right? You know, with a 40 billion valuation at one point in the same market I'm in, and they never really even bought any buildings. So it's about, I think it's just about your own expectations, right? And my expectations was just too low. And
are you changing that now, or are you finding that's just too late?
No, not too late, Stephen.
Too late.
Cheeky bastard.
You're of a certain age now, Jerry.
We're all at a certain age, Stephen.
Listen,
some of us don't have to get on a motorbike.
By all accounts, I know, midlife crisis over here.
It's over now.
Disappearing away for 2 weeks on a motorbike. Listen, by all accounts, looks like you're doing all right anyway, so I think you've done not too badly. So, can't be that many regrets, mate.
Appreciate that.
So, I just want to finish by letting you have the opportunity to say where people can find you and what sort of people are you looking to work with.
Okay, so Instagram, jerryalexander.commercial, I think. And there's my own podcast. We started off podcasting around about the same time, didn't we? I think it was a few months later. It's Commercial Property Investor Podcast, talking about all things commercial. I did think at the time I might get 50 episodes and I'll probably dry up.
That's nearly 5 years for us, so it must be the same for you.
Yeah. 280 odd episodes, just
I think
nuts.
that's more episodes than us.
Still going strong.
Yeah. And do you know what? It brings me opportunities for potential buildings, learning from other people. As you know what it's like when you're interviewing people, right? It's just great fun, right? You learn lots. And it also gives you just a wider network. So when I go to other networking events now, you know, people come up and say, "Oh, Jerry, I've listened to all your podcasts." I'm like, "Holy moly, I've not listened to all the podcasts," you know. And it just opens doors. Isn't it?
Well,
It's really
even
good.
this here, obviously, if I was to pay for a one-to-one with somebody like yourself, you'd probably be about $3,000 down by now.
And you know Nick wouldn't pay for anything like that. Do you know what? You're interesting enough. When I was coming back yesterday from America, I was doing the changeover flight, and a guy just came up to me and shook my hand, introduced himself, shouted to Dan, and said I listened to all the podcasts, and I thought that was really cool. I was like,
there you go.
He's telling celebrity over here.
He's doing a project up in Oban, and I thought it was quite cool. I was like, that's quite exciting.
Anybody come up to you in Vegas? Have we got any listeners in Vegas?
So yeah, and in terms of people who are looking to help, basically anyone who's wanting to start in commercial, really, it's trying to make that transition without making too many mistakes. You know, and we've covered a few things, right? But you know, there's only so much you can learn by doing a course or something. Actually, you just got to go and do it, but have somebody, I think, there just to check in with and say, right, actually, this is what I'm thinking about, or I need to get over myself, or whatever it is. Because commercial is always different in every single building. And there's a lot of nuances there that can make or break a project that people just don't really know about, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Do you think it's essential that people go from residential to commercial, or can jump straight into commercial?
Oh no, we've helped people go straight into commercial, yeah.
With more capital or other experiences behind them that helps them?
Probably more assurance and you know, and experience, I guess, in general, maybe business experience. Sometimes it's just a case of, though, they have a need because they've maybe got a business, right? And they need to go and get a commercial property. Some people we've helped, they've got a SaaS and they're like, I want to go and buy some commercial property. I don't want to buy a resi. I just want to start with commercial, right? Okay. So you just go through the process. It's just a bit steeper learning curve. But interestingly, a lot of people in resi don't realize how much of what they've learned there can affect and can work in commercial. Yeah.
Brilliant. I think we'll end on that. And thank you, Jerry, for spending the time.
Thank you very much, Jerry.
Thanks, guys. Until next time.
Cheers.